Hello and welcome to the NetActuate portal. My name is Craig Jackson, and today I would like to demo how to install Kubernetes on our platform. We first start by clicking Infrastructure, and then on the bottom left we click Kubernetes. You'll come to a screen that shows any existing clusters, and you'll have the ability to add a cluster in the top right-hand section. Once we click on Add, you can select the CPU type of the compute pool for the worker nodes. We'll leave that as general for now. You can select the region for your cluster install. I'll choose Atlanta, and I'll name it Cluster. I'm going to install the latest version of Kubernetes, and we are presented with several options down below. I'm going to automatically install the Kubernetes dashboard so I can get click-through access into my cluster. I'm going to enable dual stack networking for my cluster to enable both IPv6 and v4 connectivity. And you can also select high availability and the number of replicas for your control plane, but I'm going to leave that off for now. Once we continue, we can select the worker node settings as well. We can select the node sizing per node, the number of RAM and CPU attached to each worker node, and the cost associated with that. We can also increase the number of worker nodes. We have a minimum of 1, and for upgrade and scaling reasons, I'll have maximum of 2. We'll continue from here. We'll add a tag just so I can keep track of my projects, and we'll deploy that cluster in Atlanta. If there is a need for a management cluster in that region, then we'll create the management cluster and then create your control plane. Since I selected Atlanta, there was already a cluster there. We can get straight to the control plane creation. Once the control plane is created, it'll begin to federate the worker nodes. But let's click into the other cluster for views while this one is coming up. If you click into a cluster, then you'll come to an overview page with the node sizing, how many pods are running, and the networking inside. And you'll also get some graphs of the compute that the cluster is using. You can get a live view into the cluster by clicking on Resources. You can see your nodes, any events that the cluster is having, and the workloads attached to the cluster as well. Pods, deployments, network, you can all see straight from the portal. You can get detailed node views as well, and the resources running on each individual node, as well as metrics for CPU and RAM and the compute on that worker node itself. Clicking back for the access credentials, you can get a Kubernetes configuration and set the expiration time of your choice. There's also quick demos on how to get connected to your cluster and verify connectivity, and the different endpoints and URLs that your cluster is representing. Lastly, you can click into the Kubernetes dashboard by clicking dashboard here. It'll open a new link across the top, and you can get a click-through view from Kubernetes and their dashboard directly. So I'll close out of this, go back to our overview, and let's check on the worker nodes on the new cluster. It's still coming up, and we can see when we click into it that several more manifests have been applied, and we're now waiting on the worker node to federate. Once the worker node federates completely in, you should have a working cluster back on your main screen. Thank you so much for allowing me to demo the install, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.